everybody, it's Mike from What's Up Watchtower. I'm kind of laughing because I've just had to restart this video like 10 times because I keep flubbing my words. It's been about 3 weeks since I've made a video. Robin and I have just been super busy, and to be honest with you guys, the last bunch of videos that we've made were on some pretty heavy topics, and we needed to take a little bit of a break. So that's what happened. Now I'm back, and I just wanted to talk to you guys a lot about some of the research that I do, the things that I find, the things I'm looking for. And you know, I know that many Jehovah's Witnesses or people who are disfellowshipped and they still believe it's the truth, they watch these videos, and I do this research on jw.org. To be honest with you, I spend more time on jw.org than I ever thought I would in my life. I probably 8-10 hours a week doing research for articles and looking for things. So I'm just going to go over with you guys a few cool things that I found. The first thing is an article. It's actually the entire magazine I found very interesting. It is the August 15th, 2014 study issue of the Watchtower. And what specifically drew me to this is an article entitled "Hear Jehovah's Voice Wherever You Are." And I'm going to put a link to that article directly below so you guys can take a look at it. But there's some things that this article brings out that really made me think, and I thought I'd share them with you. So basically in this article, the way it's written, actually, you know what? I'm just going to read this. In paragraph 4 on page 22, it says, "Satan tries to influence the thinking of people by providing false information and deceptive propaganda." It continues in the latter half of paragraph 6. It says, "We have to decide whom we will listen to, since it is practically impossible to listen to two voices simultaneously. We need to know the voice of Jesus and listen to him." And then as we continue to paragraph 7, again the latter half of paragraph 7 on page 23, it says, "If we are not careful, we could give ear to Satan's wicked advice instead of God's loving counsel." So basically, the entire article talks about this, about how we need to listen to the organization, but there's something missing in all of this, and it's you. It's you, the person. Now, I know that none of you believe that you're just a pawn that is either controlled by Satan or by God, but that sure is how this is written. And it just leaves out the human factor, the factor of free will, the factor of being able to make your own decisions, to do your own research, and to come to your own conclusions. So I just think that's very, very interesting. The fact is that in so many articles that I've read, that is a prevalent feature, that you're either doing God's will or Satan's will. There is no difference. There is no thought of to you, yourself, your hopes, your dreams, your thoughts, how you feel. So as human beings, you know, predominantly, we're human beings first. Then that is such an important thing to be missing from the equation. And for those of you who are Jehovah's Witnesses, I know that you can't possibly believe that none of that comes into the equation here. We're not just pawns. So, oh well, interesting thing I found there. And again, I'm going to post a link for that. There's so many more interesting points in here, even as paragraph 18 again says, we're unable to direct our step, and that's from the scripture in Jeremiah 10:23. And it gives no credit to human beings whatsoever for being able to make a conscious moral decision on their own. So it's just something to look at, very interesting. The next thing I found was really fascinating was there is an article, I gotta go get it. So another thing I thought was really interesting I found on jw.org was an article that showed jw.org at the 2014 Toronto Book Fair. And I don't know what really drew me to looking at this, but I read the article. I thought to myself immediately that this is something, as a person who grew up as a Jehovah's Witness and spent 33 years of my life in that religion, I feel like what I'm seeing about this type of a thing, attending book fairs and having tents up at fairs and swap shops and flea markets and all of this public display, is something that's just kind of shocking to me. It's something I never could have ever imagined. So the interesting part of that article, though, it's not that. That's not the most interesting part. As you get down toward the bottom of the article, there's a paragraph that states, "A man from Chicago who works for a company that prints Bibles appreciated the quality of the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures on display. He wanted to get in touch with the printers and was given a contact card." Now remember, this is a book fair. This is a business fair. And it seems to me that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is doing business by printing Bibles and books for other people, for other companies. I don't have any truth, or any facts to back that up, but it's very clearly stated here that they basically gave him a business card and he was going to get in touch with them because he enjoyed the quality of their printing. So it's not something that's really overtly stated, but it is right there in black and white. So it's something I think I'm going to do a little more research on, but I just, you guys can take a look at it for yourself. Take a look at the article. I'm going to put the link. Boy, and if you want to have your mind blown, back in 2013, it seems like all my research ended up in 2014 for some reason. I found a very interesting video. Interesting for multiple reasons. One, because in a recent video that Kim and Mike did, there was a phone call made to Bethel talking about them using the music from a worldly band in the Paradise video that was shown at the end of the 2016 district convention, and that the Jehovah's Witnesses did not produce that music, that they would have had to purchase the rights to that music to use it. And in the phone call, the brother at Bethel said it is very expensive to use their facilities and get the musicians and the orchestra together and to do all this production, and that it would be less expensive to just pay another band the rights for the music. And the video that I found, it just shows people from all over the world wanting to fly to Bethel to play in the orchestra, and that they have dozens and dozens and dozens of professional musicians that will come in, and they have the most amazing studio, an amazing recording studio. So this basically disproves the entire argument that was made in that phone call. They have everything, and it's done with volunteer time, and it's actually a great setup for a musician to be a part of, although maybe under different circumstances. But the main part of this video that I thought was the most interesting is this.
Well, music comes from Jehovah. It's always been part of his worship. I'm a regular pioneer, so I spend a certain amount of time teaching the Bible, but I support myself by working in an orchestra.
So wow, doesn't that seem very different? I mean, very different from what we just heard at the 2016 Loyalty to Jehovah Regional Convention? Let's take a look at the clip that they showed at the convention.
A man from the music conservatory came to our class, and my teacher told me to play for him.
Oh, and how did that go?
Well, first I was nervous. After I was done, he asked me if I could attend a program for young gifted musicians.
And what did you tell him?
I told him I'd ask you first, so can I please?
I don't think it's a good idea.
What? But why? It's just playing the violin. You and I played together, what's the difference?
The difference is, we play violin for our enjoyment. It's different with the world. The pressure to be very best is so strong. And the spirit of competition, it can become so great that it will consume you.
I can handle it.
Sergey, conservatory exists to convince young people to make music their life, their career. You will be surrounded by people who don't love Jehovah. Can you handle that?
I don't know, but I really love it. And I'm not good at anything else, but I'm good at this. Could I just try for a little bit?
I think it will make only harder for you. And Sergey, you don't have to give up playing. We still can enjoy playing beautiful music together like we always do.
Just not at the conservatory.
That's right. We must show Jehovah that we love him first.
I just don't understand.
One day you will understand. For now, I really appreciate you being obedient.
So it seems to me, in a period of just over 2 years, there was a huge flip-flop done, or they just contradict themselves and don't think people will see both sides of it. I'm not sure. I was just very shocked that I actually came across that, having the Sergey story so freshly in my mind. It was very interesting to see that. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to tell you. It's straight up contradictory. And that's just part of what you get with the organization. So I just wanted to point that out for you guys. We were talking about thinking earlier, and that's still on my mind. I still wanted to talk to you guys about thinking, free thoughts, your thoughts, and how there's been a lot of talk lately in the magazines, in the videos, at the conventions, about suppressing your thoughts, about if you have a negative thought, or what they would call a negative thought, any kind of a doubt, any kind of a criticism, anything like that, any kind of disagreement, that basically they want you to push those thoughts out of your mind by thinking of something else. Think of a scripture, think of, something in the organization, think to the paradise in the future. Whatever it is, I mean, we saw a clear example of that in one of the bunker videos where a girl was struggling with negative thinking. And again, it's just so apparent to me that people don't really think for themselves. And I don't mean that thinking for yourself is to be a negative thing, like it's actually portrayed from the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, that thinking for yourself, or what they would call independent thinking, is a bad thing. But I just can't agree with that. I just can't agree that being comfortable with your own decisions is a bad thing. Like we talked about in one of the previous videos, the elder that I had interviewed, he made some decisions that he really regrets but can't take back, but was really pressured to play along a certain line. And as Jehovah's Witnesses, as you are in the organization, there is no doubt constant pressure to fit into a certain mold, and to be a certain person, and to think a certain way. And it really takes the human element out of you, the person. It takes you out of you, because now your thoughts aren't your thoughts. The things you like aren't necessarily the things you like. They're the things you're trained to like. They're the things you're trained to do, and the things that you do repetitiously. It's your pattern. You go from a human being with likes and dislikes, and having a certain amount of freedom, really, to going into a person who has a trained thought process, and who will actually, under many circumstances, not see evidence when it's presented to them right in black and white, right to their face. Evidence that something that they believe is wrong, or that there's a problem. They just don't see it. And the reason I bring this up is because there's a great video I'm going to show you a clip of in just a second, that is basically demonstrating this, but in a different context. As we all know, I'm going to talk politics for a second, but not really get into it. Right now we're in the midst of a run for a presidential election here in the United States, and there is a lot of controversy for the candidates on both sides. But what we do see in the news and on interviews are people who are so dedicated to one way of belief that despite being presented with facts that contradict their belief, they refuse to believe the facts and they say, I'm going to believe what I believe no matter what. Take a look.
Barack Obama is a Muslim, he's a terrorist. Nobody will ever tell me different.
We don't even know if he's a citizen.
Yeah, if you don't look at the birth certificate, there's almost no evidence there.
Exactly.
So there's nothing Barack Obama could do to prove that he was born here.
If there was maybe witnesses that were attendants at his birth.
Like his mother? Would you listen to his mother?
No. She has motivation to lie.
So you don't trust Donald Trump's birth certificate either?
Yeah, because he's been here forever.
Well, how do you know? But what's your proof?
Well, his parents and...
But no, but they're biased. I'm talking about like people who could be in
Why
the
would
room.
they be biased?
Well, like, I'm just using your logic against you.
Okay.
Do I have proof? No. Do I have articles? No.
But your mind is made up without any information.
My mind is made up.
Good enough for me.
So as a reasonable, rational, thinking human being, we can all kind of chuckle a little bit at people like that, can't we? I mean, to say, wow, there's evidence that would contradict what you're saying, but you refuse to accept it. And it's funny or amusing to a certain extent. Obviously, on The Daily Show, they were poking a little fun at it. But when it is a family member of yours, when it is your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your children, who are so close-minded in their beliefs that they refuse to see evidence, black and white evidence, proof that they themselves with so little effort could have proof that would change their life. But they're so set in that way of thinking that what separates them, what separates a really hardcore Jehovah's Witness who refuses to look at any other proof, refuses to look at any other research online except on jw.org, what separates a Jehovah's Witness from a person like we showed in the video who just refuses to see? A Jehovah's Witness can look at that video and say, wow, that's amazing. That woman or that person can't see the evidence, or they can't see where there's a contradiction in front of them. That is why people like myself are making these videos, because we're trying to say to you, there's a contradiction in front of you, and it shows that there is an untruth. It shows that there is something wrong. And don't be like the people who just steadfastly, rigidly stick to their guns, stick to their belief system, and will not let themselves be changed. And I'm not saying that change is always good, but change is pretty much a good thing, especially when change is based on truth. So it's something to think about. That video should provide a pretty powerful example of how someone can just believe something even though it contradicts itself, even though there are things wrong with it, and they refuse to believe anything different or see anything different or accept anything different. So something to think about for everyone. So before we wrap up this video, I keep saying we because me and Zoe are sitting here. I just wanted to give you guys an update as to what's going on with Robin and myself. I've been super busy with work. Robin has been super busy with work, and also a lot of improv stuff going on very recently. So we've just been really busy, overwhelmed with things. And to be really honest with you guys, the last handful of videos that we made were on some pretty heavy topics, and we did kind of need to take a break from doing that for just a little bit. So as it stands right now, I'm back in production, working on videos. Robin is very involved with the improv community here, and actually she performed in the Palm Beach Improv Festival, which was a new event for this area. And if you guys are interested in seeing what she's up to, her channel is called Adventures with Robin, and there's some improv video on there that you guys can take a look at. So she's on hiatus right now, really kind of pursuing her happiness, you know, and I'm going to be doing this as often as I can, trying to stay on top of things. I really got a stack of articles that I've prepared, made videos for, prepared to make videos for. I've done a lot of research. I've gotten into a couple of things that just got really, really deep, and I wasn't quite sure how to navigate out of it, so I'm still working on trying to refine my research and my outline to get these things done. But that's what's basically happening now with us. We're staying busy, and in the next few weeks, or a couple of months I should say, we both have a lot of stuff going on. So we'll try and be on YouTube as much as possible. I always have things that I run across on jw.org, so I'll be sharing those with you as I find them. But as I leave you today, I'm going to share with you some audio from a talk that is called Beware Human Apostates. It was recorded at a convention in 2013. It's available all over YouTube. But I have just edited the parts that are what the organization says about people like me, people who have left the organization. It's basically a 6-minute rant. I'm actually not going to play all 6 minutes of it, of just negative things that the Jehovah's Witnesses say about people who leave, people that they call apostates. And I do believe that the more true title for people like myself would be whistleblower, because that is really the intention of what we're doing, and that is it. Just bringing information to light for people to make their own decision. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy the last couple of minutes. I find it hilarious now that I've had some time to kind of listen to it, but enjoy. Take care, everybody. Until next time.
Please listen now as Brother Anthony Knops, serving at Brooklyn Bethel in the Flatlands, New York congregation, discusses the need to beware of human apostates.
If Satan and his demons are chefs in his evil kitchen, then human apostates are his helpers. Wicked human apostates are unruly men who cook up wicked reasonings and season their brew with poisonous lies that deceive minds. For instance, in one country, a news report instigated by apostates falsely stated that Jehovah's Witnesses supported Hitler's regime during World War II. Apostates had used the media to accuse witnesses of refusing to give medical treatment to their children and of deliberately condoning serious sins committed by fellow believers. They reject and try to discredit Jehovah's representatives here on earth. Protect ourselves from the poison of apostasy. Avoid them. Suppose a doctor told you to avoid contact with someone who is infected with a contagious, deadly disease. Human apostates are mentally diseased, and they try to infect others with their disloyal teachings. Avoid contact with them. We do not want to become sharers in their wicked works, twisted teachings that contradict God's word of truth. We love Jehovah's organization, the organization that taught us thrilling truths. Why then allow yourself to be soured, poisoned by anyone who would belittle the organization through which you learned these truths? Does avoiding apostates imply that our faith is not strong enough to discern truth from falsehood? Does it suggest that our faith is not strong enough to discuss different views? Apostates are not sincere in their expressions. Their aim is to manipulate your mind and undermine your faith. With good reason, then, the Bible tells us to avoid apostates just as we would avoid a person who was infected with a contagious, deadly disease.